Alrighty. The next few checks have to do with TempDB. We have check 101, which is too many TempDB files. This will identify if you have too many files in TempDB.
And we did a recent podcast on TempDB configure or general file configuration recently, right, Steve? I believe me and you did one.
Yeah, that was the one. I think we did it when we were on the road, and I actually recorded it from the front seat of my car, which I apologize for that. I will never do that one again. So
Well, there was good information on how your TempDB files should be configured. It's important to get the number of files and the size of files correctly. So that's what 101, and then I'm guessing, George, you're going to go to 102 next. As to what
check 102 is TempDB files are too small, which highlights if your TempDB configurations will lead to excessive auto growth.
This 102 is kind of interesting too, because we have another quick scan check that shows if auto growth is happening a lot. But this one's kind of that if you haven't had any auto growth and you're configuring a new server and you miss setting up TempDB to the correct sizes, this will catch it so that you don't have to experience the pain of a bunch of auto growths happening every time you restart SQL Server.
yeah, definitely good things. And on this, Mitch, was it just yesterday or this morning? I forget that you and I were talking, and you made some comment about how I've shared that a lot of the things in Database Health Monitor were problems I ran into over time. And I think I shared that with you when you started working on Database Health Monitor a couple years ago. But now that you've been on it for a while, you're now starting to point out that there are things in here that have been added because you found them and you never wanted to run in them again.
Yeah. Or if I run into them, I want to know about it instead of trying to scrounge around for it.
We have one last quick scan check that we added, which was check 103, which is the target recovery time outside recommended range. This will let you know if there's unusual recovery configuration settings, and it helps you highlight configurations that may impact checkpoint behavior and crash recovery.
Ooh, this is a really cool one, in that over the last, 12 or 14 years, Microsoft has changed the default setting on target recovery time many times. Sometimes they had it to 0. Sometimes they had it at 60 seconds. Sometimes, I think, depending on different versions, there's been some other settings. But this is one of those that can impact maybe how much data could be lost or how often things are written to disk. And to simplify, if your server gets turned off or suddenly shuts down, what you're going to have to go take through crash recovery to restore it on startup. So one of those, typically it's a setting around 60 is recommended. If it's outside of kind of that recommended range of like 30 to 90, kind of that area, we give you a warning in the quick scan just to tell you about it. This might be something that you want to take a look at and adjust.
This is one of those settings that's also really helpful when you're migrating to a new version of SQL Server, which was a recent podcast episode. If you're migrating an older database to a newer version, that setting on the database doesn't get changed to the Microsoft recommended for that version. So if you're bringing from, I believe it's like 2016 and older, or it's earlier than 2016, that target recovery time is going to be set to 0. And if you move it up to like 2022, it's going to stay 0 when you restore the databases. But you should be changing that to the recommended of 60 or whatever the version may be.
Thanks for watching. I'm Steve, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, please click the thumbs up icon. And if you want to subscribe, click subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get notified when we have new videos. All right, have a great day.